Hello and welcome to another episode on the Stretch Street podcast with the energetic EJ. I am, guess what? You know it, delighted to be here again this week. And I'm super excited because I am now fully in celebration mode 100%. Even though, yes, I have about 6 weeks to go to hitting my 150th episode, I am not joking with this celebration at all. Now, today on the show, I have my friend, my brother on the show today. And guess what? This is very special and very timely because I think this is going to be the second attempt to get him to be on this podcast. But it didn't happen. And I'm glad that it did not because now it's just the perfect time. Why is it so? Because I remembered about 2 months ago, we were having a conversation. And I remember, talking about, EJ, you don't really highlight your progress or you don't celebrate your little wins. Like you don't have to wait for something massive to happen to celebrate. You can celebrate every milestone. And while we got talking, I said, you know what? Actually, thank you for this reminder. I would love to celebrate my 200th episode on my podcast. And he asked like, okay, what episode are you now? And I'm like, I was at 130 something at the time. And he was like, why wait till 200? Celebrate 150 and then you can celebrate 200 again. I'm like, that's not a bad idea. Okay, we're doing this. And so I am glad that right now that I've turned on celebration mode, counting down to my 150th episode is when he's now available to be on the show. What a strategic timing. I am super excited about this. Now, who am I talking about? Some people call him the organic traffic commando. Most of us call him Coach K. But right now, I love his new branding. He's now known as the vessel of value. And I'm like, whoa, that is so accurate because if you've known this dude for any amount of time, you would know that every time he shows up on any platform, value is about to hit you, right? So it is so like custom made, custom fit for him to come to that conclusion to brand himself as the value vessel, right? Yes. So if you already know me for a while, you would already know who I'm talking about. But if not, it's okay. That is why he's here on the show. So for those who know him, they're like maybe online marketers, affiliate marketers, people who have businesses online, especially in Nigeria. You would know this guy and he is already making waves even in the UAE right now. So we're together. So he's going to be in the studio with me. As a matter of fact, I'm in his studio. So I'm super excited. Really. So who am I talking about? Before I EJ, let us know who is this person. Today on the show, I have my friend and brother, Kenny Nwokoye, on this show. So be ready to get value-defied, to get value-fortified. You know what I'm saying? Because today, we are not going to see him in the light of the online marketing coach that he is, or the affiliate marketing coach that he is, or the business online marketer that he is. We want to know who the person of Kenny is. For those of you who have been in his space for any amount of time, you probably would have heard packets of his story of how he struggled. For almost 11 months, earning nothing online, and boom, all of a sudden he felt like, where have you been, right? But we want to hear what are his challenging periods? What are his stretch stories? Because I know there are going to be more than one. And see, just get ready because this session is going to be long. We'll try to make it short, but just in case, this is a disclaimer. This session might be long. I'm calling it session, not even episode, because any conversation with Kenny is a session. All right. So he's going to be sharing with us some of his challenging moments and how he was able to navigate those moments. But most importantly, the life lessons that he has drawn from these experiences. So please grab your cup of tea, your cup of coffee, your bottle of water, whatever works for you. Pull your screen closer to you, plug in your AirPods, take away every form of distraction because value is about to hit you. All right. If this is your first time on this podcast channel, please, if you're watching this on YouTube, click on the subscribe button right now and turn on notification. And if you're listening to me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Teacher, Breaker, Heart Radio, wherever you listen to podcasts on, please ensure to favorite us there. Send us feedback, send us a message. Of course, you already know as well, as I count down to the 150th episode, I want you to be a part of the celebration on the 150th episode, because we would be live for 150 minutes to celebrate my 150th episode. So if you want to be a part of that, like you want to be a part of the conversation, live and direct, please send me an email to stretchstreetpod@gmail.com so that you can register your presence. Just join. That day is going to be party for 150 minutes. So invite yourself, invite your friends, invite anyone who has a story to tell, or if you just want to give me feedback on what you have gained listening to me over the years, just come. Let's celebrate together, okay? Now, let us get into the conversation of today as I present to you, Kenny Nwokoye. See you in a bit.
Hi, you're listening to Stretch Street Podcast.
Stretch Street Podcast.
Stretch Street with the energetic EJ.
With the energetic EJ.
With the energetic EJ.
Don't stop listening.
Yay! Look who's in the building. A very fine boy. Can you come and see? Yes. Finally.
Yeah.
Finally.
It's been a long time coming.
How are you?
Oh my God. I'm super. I'm amazing. I'm awesome.
Awesome. Good to have you here. Thank you for
Thanks
finally
inviting me.
accepting and allowing yourself to be available. Because it's amazing how, when, especially like when you are far from something.
Yeah.
You feel like, oh my God, how can I reach it? When I reach it, these are the things we are going to do. I'll do this, I'll do that.
Do and undo.
Then you get the thing finished. All those do and undo will disappear. It's like when you first of all visited Dubai.
Yeah.
Like, I need to do this. I need to go to this place.
I was in full-on tourist mode, man.
But the moment the mindset shifted to residence,
Oh my God.
my dear, there are places.
It now becomes, I can do this later. It's not like I need to go here. I can go there later.
I can always go there. And it always happens that most people is when they're about to leave Dubai. That's when they're like, oh my God, I haven't even been to Abu Dhabi. I haven't been to Ferrari World. I haven't. It's almost
Crazy.
like that in this case, because I remember, before we became really close, it's like, Kenny, we need to collaborate on MGH. Like we have to, when we are together, the kings will shoot, my dear. We've been together almost a year now. This is the first time
Oh my God.
we're having the time together to be on this podcast. But again, I just love the timing. It's just so perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
First of all, thank you so much for, just being that person that ignites, every once in a while when we get to just like, hey, this is truth moment. Let us tell ourselves the hard truths, right? And, that person that always say, EJ, you need to do this. EJ, you are so, you are bigger than this. Can't you see it, right? So thank you for being that person. And thank you for instigating this idea of celebrating the 150th episode rather than wait till 200.
Congrats in advance, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So, Kenny, value, vessel of value. Before I give you value vault, I don't know where value vault is coming from. Maybe somebody else needs to pick up that one. Vessel of value. But before we even start, see, I'm so excited that I forgot my tradition. So there's a tradition here on Stretch Street Podcast. Right. I introduce my guests in a particular way.
Okay.
we already know your name. You're Kenny Nwokoye. So I'm going to ask you what you do in a particular way. I'll ask you what your philosophy of life is, and you tell us one fun thing about you.
Let's do it.
So first of all, I know you are organic traffic commando.
I didn't name myself that, please, for the record. Okay.
Because this guy has magnet for traffic. I don't know how he does it, but he's a traffic magnetizer. So you have all these different names, Coach K, OTATM, Zero to Hero. Chief.
I only gave myself one of the names. Only one. Every other one, I don't know where they came from.
That's what you get when you are giving value all the time. But if you were to, in one sentence, introduce what you do, what do you do? How would you introduce it?
I help people solve problems. That's what I do. In one sentence, you said. So that's what I do. I help people solve problems.
Is there a particular...
That problem could be personal. It could be financial. It could be business. And I just help people solve problems. And I always come from a point of experience. I think in my very young life, I've had a lot of experiences. And so I share solutions in form of stories. And so I share my lessons, I share my journey, I share insights, I share everything. And that's how I bring solutions to people.
I love it.
Yeah.
Very simple and straight and easy to understand. Fantastic. What is your philosophy of life?
That's a very deep question. It's a very deep question. And I think it's not something that I can answer in a straight line, especially because of the fact that philosophy has like different angles, But for me, I would say my philosophy of life is that nothing is permanent except life and death itself. Nothing is permanent and everything is fluid. Your personality is fluid. Your outcomes are fluid. Who you are is fluid. What can happen to you is fluid. Life, the experience of life itself is fluid. That's what I believe. I believe that nothing is permanent except life and death.
And that kind of shapes how you...
It shapes how I run my business. It shapes how I see things. When I'm going through experiences, for example, one of two things can happen. If it goes sideways, like most people would say, if it goes sideways, I pick a lesson. If it doesn't, I share a win. So it's always one of those two things. So life is fluid in that sense.
I love it. That is so very deep stuff. And we're just starting. Okay, so tell us one fun thing about you.
I am an introvert, but nobody knows.
I think life is fluid. So that personality out.
Yep. So yeah, I think that's one of the fun things about me. I can be very unpredictable because I know that nothing is
permanent.
Permanent. I can be very fluid. My behavior is very fluid. People have heard me speak before and they say they enjoy the way I speak because I can speak like a British. In the next 10 seconds I'm speaking pidgin English, and in the next 15 seconds I'm speaking polished grammar, so I can be very fluid like that. It doesn't mean I'm pretending. It's just an echo of my philosophy of life.
I love it. I love it. Introvert indeed. But that's true because again, we've been together for a while, and I know that sometimes it takes force. Like, Kenny, we have to leave this house. You have to leave your house. You've not gone out of the house in 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
But when we're out, we're out. That's just the beauty of it. Thank you for that, to saying actually life is fluid. So when I need to be out, I have to be out. Not because I want to be, but because I have to do it. Fantastic. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. Now, let us get into this story of the day. Yeah. We know your results and everything. Can we go behind the scenes? Tell us.
Not everybody knows the results, though.
I know. Yeah. We'll get there. We'll work our way back to it. But most people who know, even if you didn't say anything here about your results, the moment people have seen you on this show and they go and check you out, they will see your result everywhere.
That's true.
They will see it everywhere. It's clean, it's clear, it's crystal. But today, let us walk our way from behind the scenes.
All right.
What are some of your toughest challenging moment? I mean, I know you just hit your third decade on earth, but like you said earlier on, you said in those 3 decades you've had several experiences.
A lot has happened.
What are the when I say downest of the downest ones?
Yeah.
And how you're able to crawl out of it?
Okay, my rock bottom moments, like you just said, my biggest rock bottom moment was when I lost my job in 2018. So I used to have a 9-to-5 job, 2016 to 2018. I lost that job in July 2018. But I think in order to for the sake of context, I should share just a little bit of that story. I got the job in 2016, just after I finished my NYSC in Nigeria, and I remember I didn't apply for the job. At the time, I didn't apply for the job because the owner of the company, I used to look up to him. It was sort of like a mentor. Yeah, okay. So it was sort of like a mentor. And of course, if you're seeking a job from a mentor, you wouldn't exactly go through due process, So I didn't go through due process. I just walked up to him and I said, I remember the words I used. I said, "Bro, so your boy don't finish NYSU. Anything for me?" And so he said, "Yeah, of course, I should come to the office on Monday." That was the following Monday, and I did. I said, "Okay, no problem." And I did go to the office the following Monday. He sat me down, and then he asked me, he said, "Do you know how to use Microsoft Office?" And I said, "Yeah, I know how to use Microsoft Office." He said, "How good are you?" I said, "Sir, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not the best. I'm not the best, but if you give me any assignment, I'll do it."
I love it.
And that was it. That was my interview.
Wow.
And I got the job. Till today, he doesn't know what I studied in school.
Are you serious?
Yeah. He doesn't know what I studied in school.
But what did you study?
Accounting. And then he says I should go to the networking department, and so I went there and I met the guy there, and I became a part of the team. Then I was a contract staff in the company, and so I wasn't earning salary while I was wearing my training boots. I wasn't earning a salary at the company, so I was going every day to the workplace without the hope of earning a salary. I was still excited doing that because I was better than my mates at the time who didn't have jobs. So as far as I was concerned, I had the upper hand over my mates. Most of them were still looking for jobs at the time. So I was glad to have some training wheels on at a company as well, at least.
Yeah.
So within 2 months, I was able to apply for retainership. And then they retained me in the company as a junior staff. And so I started out in one of their new departments called the Transaction Reconciliation Department. And so my job at the time was I was helping the company to reconcile transactions, daily ATM transactions. And I did that for a while before luck shined on me. By the way, when I started doing transaction reconciliation, at the time I was already being paid 15,000 naira per month. Yeah, and I earned that for a while, and it became 22,500 naira per month. It was 20,000 naira salary, 2,500 naira for airtime every month.
Oh, nice.
And then I did that for a while, and the salary was increased while I was still at the same department to 32,500. And then later on, I think about 6 months down the line, I got the first opportunity to show what I could do at the company. It was on a very interesting morning when the manager was looking for someone. Actually, the MD himself, my mentor himself, was looking for someone who was going to go out to do like a presentation for the company, and they couldn't find someone. And then they came to the office very angry that how do we have a big company like this and nobody can present and it was quite interesting that morning, because I felt like that was my opportunity to shine. Because I had already been preparing myself down for that day, and so getting that opportunity was unique for me. I stood in front of all the staff and presented the company's software, and by the time I finished, everybody's hands were like,
wow.
So
you've been talking for long, bro.
So it was my first presentation, actually, but it didn't feel like it, neither did it look like it, but it was my first presentation. And after that, I was recommended to go and represent the company in Lagos.
Wow.
To present the software to God is Good Group.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so that was my first time presenting anything in front of a board, like the board of directors
that are
for
not
God is
even
Good
your
Group.
own people.
Yeah, so it was a huge, scary moment for me. Yeah. I peed 7 times before it started. So,
Thank God you didn't pee on yourself.
yeah, no, I didn't. But I went to toilet to pee 7 times before the presentation started. But it turned out really great. And it set the pace for a lot of, growth in my journey at the company. So I started traveling for the company, doing presentations, and with that came promotions. And so within the space of 2 years, I went from contract to junior to senior to management at the company. So I became a management staff at the company. My salary was also upgraded. I got an official car. I got travel allowance. I got 80 liters of fuel allowance. So some people would have even called that the dream 9 to 5 at the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. People would have called that the dream 9 to 5, but it didn't last. Because while the promotions were coming, there were some people who were still stagnated. So there were some people I met at the company at senior staff level. And by the time I became management, they were still senior staff.
Wow.
And so that comes with some bad blood. And because of that, envy, friends became enemies, envy all over. And some people conspired within the company to get me out of the company, and they succeeded. Yeah, so they succeeded. The day I was edged out of the company, I have this morning routine that I normally eat noodles every morning as breakfast. So I was having my noodles at the time when someone came in and said the MD's wife wanted to see me, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? And then I went over to her office, and she had a white envelope in her hand, and that was a time when people were getting laid off. And so they were letting people go at the time. So when you see a white envelope, you already know your fate. So when I saw the white envelope in her hand, I'm like, it's time.
Wow.
It's my turn. So I took the envelope from her. She started explaining. I just listened to everything.
I'm sure you could not hear.
Yeah, I couldn't. I obviously didn't hear anything. She was saying, I already knew what she was about to say. She was just trying to,
pamper it.
Yeah, and not sound like a bad person. I wouldn't say she's a bad person. I mean, she was protecting her business. That's not a bad thing to do, know. And so after she spoke, I went back to my office to continue my meal. I had to finish my meal before I opened the envelope, because I knew if I opened the envelope first, then I wouldn't finish the meal. So I finished the meal, and then I opened the envelope, and I saw I have been temporarily relieved of duty. I am still temporarily relieved of duty.
How many years later?
Yeah, fast. A few years later. I'm still temporarily relieved of duty. So, but anyways, I lost that job, and I immediately I got back to my office. The guys who were at her office came behind me, and then they took my laptop. Immediately, they took my laptop. They took my car key. Everything I had inside the car, I took in my laptop bag. So I took an empty laptop bag home, and I had my Samsung phone too. That was all I left to show that I had worked for a company for 3 years. Wow. I had a Samsung phone that I bought with my salary.
Wow.
So that was rock bottom. That was a rock bottom moment. I didn't have savings. I didn't have a CV. I didn't have hope. Yeah. And there was a lot of betrayal as a result of that, because the people who were responsible for that act were my friends. So that was the rock bottom moment. I cried my eyes out that night. Not because I'm a small child, but there's a feeling of pain that overwhelms you, and you don't know how else to express that pain. So betrayal, regrets, desperation, the feeling of being lost, and so many more feelings were just flowing through my veins at that point in time. And the only way I felt I could express it was by weeping. I wept.
Really?
I wept.
Wow.
So the following morning, I woke up jobless, with no CV, no savings, and no way forward. So I went to church. When I have those kind of things and you have nowhere to go, turn to God. So I went to church, and I just lay down at the altar, and I'm like, I hear you, Lord. I hear you loud and clear. I hear you, Lord.
There was continuing your ear before.
Yeah, I was stubborn, but I hear you, Lord. Now, anything you tell me to do, I'll do. And I'm not going away from here until you tell me what to do.
Lord.
So I was there for about 3 hours at the altar. It was an empty church. It was a weekday, so the church was empty. Early in the morning. So I just laid there for like 3 hours plus. And about 3 hours later, it occurred to me that there were only two things I could do. Because at the time I had two skills. I could design graphics or I could do animated videos. Apart from that, that was all I was good for. And so I said, okay, I could do that.
But wait, let me stop you there. Why didn't it occur to you at that point that you could go and use your accounting certificate to look for another job?
I graduated with a 2-2 from the University of Benin. I don't know how to create a balance sheet. I wasn't the most serious student when I was in school.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I played away my 4 years. Yeah. When I chose accounting, I thought it was because it was an easy course. I thought it was a very easy course. I was so wrong.
Oh my goodness.
But then it's quite interesting that most of the people who turn out to be leaders in industries are people who, despite the odds, Yeah. So I decided that it was one of two things I could do. It was either that I was going to become a victim of circumstance by begging people, because at the time I was quite popular in church, so people could have helped me if I had asked them for help.
An arm beggar.
Yeah, and they would have helped, giving me a little bit of money and all. But that was not me. That's not how I was raised. It has never been in my veins. I never look in someone else's account for what I can find within me. So I decided that I was going to use what I had to get what I want. And that was my skill. But the problem was I don't have any clients. I've never had any clients before. And if you've ever tried to break into a marketplace, then you know that nobody wants to work with you if you don't have a track record. Because they're going to ask you, like,
okay, what have you done?
Can I see some of your work, please? And when you don't have any work, you don't have any, what's it called? You don't have a portfolio. You don't have a background. And nobody's going to work with you. Nobody wants to work with an utondo, like I like to call it. And so I said, okay, how do I get a portfolio if nobody wants to work with me? And you remember the reason why people work with you, the reason why they would even ask you for a portfolio is because they don't want to make a bad investment. So what if I take away that risk by offering my skill for free in exchange for the portfolio? And so that's what I did. And I selected a couple of brands on Instagram, people who I knew had visibility. I didn't just select random people. So I selected people who had visibility, and I offered them my skill in exchange for that feedback. And I said, if you like it, only if you like it, then I want you to just give me some feedback. That's it. And so I did it for them. And by the time I had done for 5 people, I had my first 3 clients. Not only did I get feedback, because I did the free work so excellently that if they had paid for it, they would have gotten full value for it. And so they felt, why don't we make it official? You see. And so that was how I got my first 3 clients. It just so happened that one of the 3 clients was my former boss. The man who used to be my employer became one of my biggest clients.
Oh, wow. From this company that laid you off?
From the same company that laid me off.
Look at life.
So, and what he paid me as a retainer was way higher than anything he ever paid me as my salary.
As a salary. Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Circle of life.
I know.
And so that was how I started my journey as a freelancer / consultant. And I did earn a little bit of money doing that. It wasn't enough to get me going. Definitely wasn't enough to pay my bills. And most of my bills at the time were data bills, because I wasn't paying rent, so data bills. So yeah, that was how I navigated
paying rent.
Yeah.
And what you were earning was still not enough to cover your bill.
Nope. It wasn't enough to pay my data. And I was doing a lot of things with data at the time. I would download courses. I would download software. I would download templates. So my work tools, basically. So I was downloading those things. I had a hard drive then that was 2 terabytes and was almost full. So you can imagine how much data I had to use to get to that level. So yeah, that was how I crawled out of rock bottom. So I crawled out of rock bottom, and in 2019, I found affiliate marketing. I was scrolling on Facebook one day, and I saw an ad. I've always known I wanted to make money online. Deep down, I've always known I wanted to make money online. So seeing that opportunity, I didn't need convincing.
It was just like,
I only needed to know if it was working.
And if it worked for you.
And if it worked for me. And so by seeing that he had worked for other people, I knew it was working. And so I took the leap. I spent my last 30,000 naira buying the course. After I bought the course, expectations, what I ordered versus what I got was not it. It wasn't it. I didn't get results.
Wow.
I went in with such high hopes. I was about to take over the world and make all the money online, but my first 11 months, I didn't see more than $24 come out of that business.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must have been really, really hectic.
It was huge. It was huge. It was tough. And a lot of things had to happen before I started seeing results. A lot of things had to go. A lot of things had to come. A lot of things had to change. I needed to become someone else.
Absolutely. I was going to get to that.
Yeah.
And let me bring that home to say that, I mean, this is such a fantastic story you've shared. And I love some of the, highlights there, here and there, especially when you said one of your biggest clients eventually was your former boss. And what he paid you is not compared to what he was paying when you were in that company.
Exactly.
So for me, one of the things I would draw before I ask you of some of the life lessons you've learned is the fact that sometimes you need to be pushed out of place to get into place. Because when you were there, even if you had offered to do this, to use the same skill in that company, they wouldn't have paid you extra.
Absolutely.
They would have just added it like, oh, this is your job. This is your job. Do it. Right.
Exactly.
So help us distill some of the life lessons that particular experience taught you.
Well, I think one of the biggest lessons I picked out of that is that sometimes rock bottom is disguised as a springboard. So, sometimes we feel like, we've just hit rock bottom, but maybe you were just pushed back to the springboard so you can come back up.
Ooh,
so
love it.
That's what it was for me. My rock bottom was a springboard. If I didn't hit it, I wouldn't have bounced
But
the way I did.
I get that. In hindsight.
Of
When
course.
you were there.
It was rock bottom. I was in pain. I was in penury.
You were in abject poverty.
I was in poverty.
This is not to make light of the situation, but to tell you, if you're watching this right now, or you're listening to this right now, that when you are there, I don't know if you are there right now, like you are in a place where you feel like, okay, this is the end.
Yeah.
Is this how I'm going to end my life? Like, who is going to help me? How am I going to change this situation? Maybe let me just end it because there is no hope. I can't see any iota of hope in this situation. Can I tell you now, based on what Kenny has shared, that particular place that you are right now, that place that seemed like rock bottom, that seemed like the bottom of the sea, could be your springboard. You might not see it now, but please, can you borrow belief? Can you borrow faith? Can you borrow hope? Can you borrow strength from this story to say, could this be my springboard?
Absolutely.
And hold on to hope. Yes, please go on.
Another lesson, there were 3 lessons. So the second lesson that I picked out of it was the principle of time and season. I got the understanding that for every experience of life, it's a season. It's like the summer comes and then the winter comes.
Absolutely.
And people are so dreadful of winter. There are things about winter that people dread. There are things about summer that people dread.
Yeah.
For example, summer in Dubai is dreadful. It's dreadful. It's hot.
And humid.
Your skin is burning, but you can't sweat. It's insane. And so people can dread that, but it's a season. And at the same time, there are advantages to every season.
Absolutely.
In the season of summer, you wash your clothes. In 10 minutes, it's dry. So there's always a plus and there's a minus. But if you understand that for every season, there's advantages and you can focus only on the plus side of every season.
Gives you
Before you
strength
know
to
it,
go through
it gives you strength to push through till the next season. And so every season has its plus sides.
Love it.
That's one. That's the second. And then the third thing for me was the fact that I realized that business is not a physical game, it's a spiritual game. And it obeys the principles of seed time and harvest.
Love it.
And if you get into business, for example, and you're looking to get it from day one, Like you're looking to get the money from day one. Those are the people who don't make it through the first month. Even if you make it through the first month, it will be a miracle if you get to 6. It will be a miracle if you get to 6. And so for me, I got into business with the right mindset, thank God, knowing fully well that it was a principle of seed time and harvest. That's what kept me through 11 months. Because if I didn't understand that principle, I would have expected my harvest from day one, and if it didn't come,
you probably would have changed route.
I would exactly. So I would have pivoted since to another route.
And another thing I think what you just said would do to you is to also help you go through that seed time season, because you have that mindset. So you know that, okay, this is seed time, harvest is coming. But if you don't, then like, what's going on? It's not working.
Yes,
it's not working. It's not coming on.
Absolutely. And also deeper into the understanding of seed time, I realized that at the beginning stage, there are things that are identified as the seed. Your time, for example, when you're just starting a business, is your biggest seed.
Absolutely.
And you have to invest that time in yourself. You have to invest that time in your business. You have to invest that time in cash flow producing activities. You have to invest that time in knowledge acquiring activities, in skill acquiring activities. That's the seed. So I didn't understand this until 11 months of struggle. And so it was then after I understood it that successful businesses are built by successful people. That's when I started planting the seed.
So that you can be the success
exactly.
that will now help your business be successful.
That was when I started planting the seed. So I started planting the seed of time. I started planting the seed of energy. And I started planting the seed of my resources, all focused in one direction. That was a side lesson I also learned along the way too, that you can't build a business by building multiple businesses. You have to build one business, automate the process of earning from that business, and then you go build other businesses. Serial entrepreneurs don't build simultaneously. They're called serial for a reason. A serial killer doesn't kill 10 people at the same time. The person kills one and then moves to the next. A serial entrepreneur builds one business and then moves to the next. So the same way, when you get into business, especially if you're a solopreneur, you're building your business by yourself, you should be building it out one business at a time. But society tells us that you have to have multiple sources of income. So where do you marry both sides together? It's simple. You have to understand that you can't have multiple active sources of income. If it requires your time, energy, and your resources, then it's active. You can't have multiple of that, because if you have multiple of that,
there's just one of you.
You have only one bottle of time, energy, and resources. And if you can't put it all in one cup to fill the cup, and you're putting in multiple cups, then you have 4 cups
average,
and none is full. And so the income potential for each of those sources cannot be reduced. It can't reach its maximum potential. This is what made me to burn out. So I had 4 sources of income at that time. I wasn't making up to 50K a month. I had 4 sources of income, including my affiliate business, and I was begging people for money for data. Quite interesting, right? And so it wasn't until I realized these little things that I said, okay, so I have to choose one of these vehicles of cash flow. And I chose my affiliate business. I went big on it. And in no time, in 30 days actually, I made my first $500,000.
Wow.
As an affiliate marketer. And before 90 days after that, I made my first $1 million, 7 figures in Naira. And 35 days later, I made my second $1 million. 33 days after that, I made my third. And what used to take me months, 7 figures used to take me a month before to acquire, but eventually became something I could get in a week. Eventually it became something I could get in a day. Now it's something I get in an hour. And I'm working towards where it's something I get in a minute.
That's 1 minute. See you tomorrow.
Exactly.
Wow. What a journey. Like, guys, are you feeling me? What a journey in such a short time of being here on earth. And even such a shorter time being in business. Such a shorter time being in business is now going to 3, because 2018 till now. But see the amazing work. And I love one thing you said about the focus and about the analogy you just made about the bottle and the different, bottles pouring out from one source. If you don't focus on one to get it full, then everything will be average, and by the time you even add all the average together, it might not be up to one. So it's
Exactly.
better to focus on one, make it full, make it automated,
Laser
let
focus.
it be bringing in funds. Then from the spillover from that one business, you can then use it to grow the rest. So we're not saying don't do all the things that you want to do. Just know that you can't do all at the same time. Have them in view, have them in your vision board, but put a timing to them. Focus on one, blow it up, let it keep running, put systems in place to it, and then move on to the next one. Kenny, if somebody is watching right now, especially young people, I think you should speak to two people.
Right.
The young ones that are not up to 30, and they're like, whoa, if he started early, okay, maybe I still have time. There's hope. But some are watching you and they're like 40, 50.
And they feel it's late.
And they're like, oh my God, where do I want to start to be focusing right now from, right? What would you say to these two sets of people?
Well, I think for both sides, they have the same advantage, contrary to what people might think.
Okay.
For both sides, you have the exact same advantage, and that's time. I'll explain what I mean. So for the young folk, you have your youth, and you can play around with your youth. You can experiment with your youth. You can try different things. You can fail in your youth, you know. And so that's the advantage for you if you're young. But when you're not, the advantage for you is that you have past time. With time past comes experience. That's your advantage. Your experience is your advantage. Your experience is your story. You know, that's why I made that statement one day, that when you approach life from a mental space of abundance, there are no losses. You know, if it goes well, then it's a success. If it doesn't, then it's experience. So for somebody who is 40 plus, for somebody who has gone that far in life, you have so much experience to share. You have so much wealth of experience to share. And even if it's not financial gain, it's still experience. Your experience is valid even though it has nothing to do with financial gain. Maybe you made bad decisions for 10 years. You can stop someone else from making bad decisions by sharing your story. That is an advantage. I don't see disadvantages. It's not in my genes. It's not in my. It's no longer in my programming.
It's been deleted.
It's no longer in my programming to see disadvantage. You know, because for every disadvantage there is a silver lining. There's always a silver lining. You know, so yeah, that's what I would say about that.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Your advantage is the same, whether you are young or old. As a young person, you have time to experiment. So don't be afraid. Just go. There's no failure. If you look at it again, there is no failure. It's feedback, right? And if you're old, you have time past. And so leverage your time past. Laser focus on that one thing that you can do now. Because if Kenny here could laser focus and start getting results in months, it means it can happen for you if you're laser focused on that one thing as well. So now that you know, okay, I don't have time to be dilly-dallying about, your experience has taught you what you are good at by now, hopefully, right? Focus on that one thing that you're good at. Focus on it. Give it your all. Do everything in the books that you know will make it work. And I can assure you that you're going to hit success. Thank you so much. I told you guys that this session will be long, but at the same time, I also told you that this is such a perfect timing. Thank you, Kenny. Thank you for going through your life aware. Because that is one thing I think some of us didn't do.
True.
We were just autopiloting.
Yeah.
So we did not
You're just going.
We're just going. We did not,
document
the journey. Because I kind of love when you said 30 days into focus, I hit my first 500,000.
Yeah.
33 days out, like, who is counting?
I was counting.
And then 35 days later, what is this now? What's all this counting for?
No, I count everything.
But did you see how sweet it made the story sound? That, okay, so if I can do laser focus, and your own might not be 1 month, for example, but if I do laser focus and I get my first result,
It might be 3 months.
the next result would be twice lesser than the time I spent for the first result.
Definitely.
Aye, so good. So good. I hope that you really, really gotten value. If you say you did not get value, you're a liar. You're a liar. I put it to you that you're a liar. Because
a lying person.
Anyways, but honestly, this has been a fantastic, value-packed, like I said in the beginning, episode. And I hope that you will leave in the comments one of the things that dropped, like one of the things that shouted your name the most of all the nuggets that Kenny has dropped, that we've dropped here today. Which one shouted at you the most? Like, type it in the comments section, like, Kenny, this one was calling my name. Like, why are you shouting? Type it in the comments of this video or of the audio podcast and let us get your feedback of how this session has been a blessing to you. Again, counting down 6 episodes to go to 150th episode. Yeah! Till I come your way again next week, please remember, if you're not yet subscribe to this YouTube channel, subscribe to our audio platforms wherever you listen to podcasts on. You can give us a 5-star rating in any of those platforms. You can give us feedback on Google Podcasts, for example. But please do send in your feedback, and I will be back next week with yet another story to inspire you, to let you know that challenges are not exclusive to any of us. It's follow come for everyone.
Oh, and by the way, if you guys want to follow me on social media,
hey, can you imagine? Please
follow me at Kenny Nwokoye.
Please, Kenny, K. In fact, you know what? You don't understand what you embody. Honestly, because I feel like it's a no-brainer. But still, because this is a practice of what, we've learned all over the years, that some people will still not use their brain. So, to do it. So, let us tell you, please follow him. Because otherwise, it's like, if I'm watching this, I'm going to search, who is this guy? What is he doing? Like, what does he have? Why are they making noise about him, right? But please, yes, I forgot to say that. Follow Kenny across social media platform. Kenny Nwokoye, YouTube, Instagram.
I create unique content for all my social platforms.
Exactly. LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok. It's everywhere. Everywhere. And guess what, guys? The way this guy is helping people to do magic on social media. Follow him. When you hear, follow who no road. This is the road. Guys, like, I'm not even joking. There's a particular product of his that is making the waves, that turned somebody who had, what was that lady that had how many followers?
Less than 400.
And in how many days did he hit?
In 15 days, she got 15,000 followers.
Almost like every day, 1,000. Every day, 1,000. That's how good that course is. So Kenny has multiple courses. You can check it out. I bet if you follow him, whether on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on TikTok, you will see his link. This guy is like calculated. He's a bloody marketer. There is no way you can get in contact with him anywhere that is not leading you somewhere. He's a leader. That's what he
You people should not believe that. I'm not a leader, I'm a helper. I help people. So if you want me to help you, come and click.
And he's a traffic commando. He will command you. Please, guys, I'm talking about this particular. In fact, let me do this. What? I'm learning from the best. Let me do this. So that course I was telling you about is called OTATM. Let me tell you the meaning of it. Organic Traffic ATM. Automated transaction machine.
It's not it's not that type of ATM.
Oh yeah, tell us.
It's just the A means attention. And the T means transportation, M means monetization.
What's the difference?
The difference
Automated transmission machine. What's the difference?
Oh
guys, that course is the bomb. Even if you are fresh on social media today, and this is regardless of your age, so it's even better if you're like oldie and you're like, I'm not tech yet, go and get that course, and I can assure you that if you do everything in that course to the letter, you will come back and say thank you. All right, so I'm going to leave the link to the course in the description of this video, as well as the audio podcast. Get OTATM. In fact, go get that course and stop struggling on social media, okay? Thank you, Kenny. You've just been a blessing all round. And I just want to wish you well in the next phase of life, in the next decade, that even your impact will grow beyond your imagination, beyond borders. Like you'll become a global phenomenon. That's my prayer for you. Amen. So thank you so much for being here. Guys, till I come your way again next week with another story. Remember, life is challenging, but the challenges are there to teach us. So when you take a posture to say, what is this challenge here to teach me? You're able to distill the life lessons, and someday you'll be the one sharing your story and being a blessing to other people. All right? I am the energetic EJ, and I'm going to see you next week as I count down 5 weeks to 150th episode.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Peace.
Hey, thank you for watching today's episode. I really do hope that you found it valuable. All right. If you did, please visit us again next week when we will put out another episode. In case you forgot at the beginning or at the middle, now is a good time to click on the subscribe button, turn on notifications so that you don't get to miss any of our episodes. All right. Till we come your way again next week, remember also to read the description of this video for any links that might be there that would help you or also help you support the work that we do here. All right. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.